Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we have Rachel Recchia twisting the words of Tino Franco. And I know what you're thinking. Dave, I already saw this video. No, this is a new one. This is the second of two podcast interviews she did. One with Nick Viall of the Viall Files, and this one with Ashley from Almost Famous. The conditions are slightly different, but the results are more or less the same, which is going to be me telling you what Rachel said Tino said, and then me sharing with you what Tino actually said. He had said this earlier in an interview: if you want to break up with me, do it, rather than keep twisting my words. So, is that a thing that Rachel's doing? Or look, hey, let's give some grace out there. In relationships, usually when the relationship doesn't work out, we tend to jockey for position to see who offended who more, and who's the hero and who's the victim, and this and that. And of course, it's got to be challenging for Rachel in that it ended in such a public way with Tino, more or less making out with somebody else or kissing somebody else. I don't know how deep the tongue went. That's no matter. It's like, did you cheat on him? Well, it was only 1 inch into the mouth. It's like, well, that's far enough. Either way, we're going to get into this story here. It's fascinating and it has a few different layers, and I'm going to jump right into it. I got this comment from a person who, I love my audience so much. You guys are fantastic. People will give me comments. I was on a flight and someone texted me this. Just wanted to let you know that Almost Famous just dropped an episode with Rachel and she's paraphrasing Tino again. Not sure if it's newsworthy. Not sure if it's newsworthy. If you ever have to say not sure if it's newsworthy, I'm already making the story. Not sure if it's newsworthy, but thought you should know since she's probably reacting to your interview again. Comes up about 7 minutes in on Apple Podcasts. Actually, she wasn't reacting to my interview. She's reacting to the interview that Tino Franco did with Courtney Robertson. But I'm going to get into that. The commenter then says, it'll be interesting if her Paradise promo podcast tour becomes more about her reacting to Tino than Bachelor in Paradise itself. To be honest, kind of tracks with her history on the show. I feel like she harbors a lot of resentment, first Clayton, then Tino. And look, there's probably a lot of resentment in general because it's got to be very tough to deal with the online hate that you can get from this type of community. I encourage my audience, show Rachel some grace here. Treat others as you would like to be treated, right? I don't know, maybe. So I loved this comment that I received. So Nick Viall had Rachel Recchia on his podcast, and they butchered my interview with Tino. They didn't credit me, and they didn't provide proper quotes. They paraphrased. It was complete horse shite. So I got this comment. I'm so happy to see your comment on Nick's video got more likes than his video alone. I'm one of those votes. So glad you have all this support showing up on his post. Here's what I have to say. When you're on the right side of a story, it tends to work out for you. So in this video that I responded to completely, I believe, eviscerating all of the arguments they made, including Nick telling Rachel that Tino was trying to give advice to her. What, Nick? From a guy who wrote a book about giving advice, wouldn't you know what advice is if it hits you upside the head? Either get your ears cleaned or listen to the content before you spew anything about it. And of course, I responded as politely as possible to Nick. His episode got 451 likes. My comment got 611. That should immediately tell you you've got a shit point, okay? In the court of YouTube likes, that, my friends, is how you win an argument. So anyway, Rachel is now on this new podcast, Almost Famous, which, by the way, I like it. I like Ashley. I met her through FaceTime when I interviewed Jared a few weeks ago. This interview is different from Nick's in that in that Ashley doesn't set Rachel up for failure. Rachel actually interrupts Ashley to misquote what Tino actually said. I'll play that for you in a second. Here's the trailer they released on their Instagram story.
Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Ash. It's fine. I like it better when we just do us two anyway. Love you, Ben.
Tino has said recently, he said that he is planning on watching your season of Bachelor in Paradise. How does that make you feel?
He said he will be watching, but he will not be watching me.
You are also in Paradise with a few guys from your season. Did feelings reemerge for anyone in your past? Well, what are you looking for in a guy?
All right, so then, they keep playing it. I'll share the actual thing that Rachel said. Some interesting comments from people. Ashley and Nick are one and the same. They didn't listen to the interview, but they're summarizing it and spreading lies on that guy. He was very respectful, so stop trying to make him seem like a jerk. No, I'm telling you right now, Ashley didn't summarize what Tino said. Ashley trusted that Rachel provided her with the quote, but it turns out the quote Rachel was providing her was not the one, which we will get to in a second, but I've got 3 clips to play for you. The first from what Tino said about Rachel twisting his words. He says it very diplomatically. He says, I feel like at the time, it felt like she was twisting my words. Have a listen.
I want to break up with somebody.
Oh, let's go back to the beginning here.
It was more like, I don't necessarily know, because I don't think he knew where I was, but it was more like I called and just was like, I don't know what to do. This is like it just keeps getting worse.
So this is the moment when Tino realized he was in a setup situation when they filmed him at the safe house and he ripped his shirt off. This is that moment he's talking about.
Like everything I say, it just feels like, it's either being used against me or twisted. And anytime I try to defend myself, it's the same thing. Oh, are you blaming me? And I'm like, no, I'm not.
If anyone who's ever been in an argument with their partner or ex or someone they're fighting with, and when they use your words and try to twist them against you, it ain't a fair conversation. At that point, it is right to walk away and talk when cooler heads prevail. So he already mentioned once he felt like she was twisting his words. He's about to mention it a second time.
So you asked me this, and this is, from my perspective, what happened. So it was just really tough. It didn't really feel like there was a win available at that point. I certainly wasn't getting what I wanted in the sense of like us repairing our relationship. So I think it just got me to the breaking point, and I was ready to
You were out of
call
there.
it. Yeah, I think at one point I said, like, if she wants to break up with me, she should just do that rather than, keep twisting my word. Because at a certain point, it's like, if you want to break up with somebody, I don't really see any point in having like a long conversation about it. Like the questions to me were just coming off as like, well, how bad can I make you look on my way to breaking up with you? And I don't know or think that was her intention or the show's. But, like, that's what I was feeling at the moment when I took my mic off.
Absolutely.
There it is, folks. So twice he says she was twisting my words. And you can kind of hear him catching himself at the end there. But that's how he felt. I'm sure. Look, I asked him when I interviewed him, I said, hey, you guys must have had some really bad blowout fights. And he was like, no, really only the last one. I kind of had assumed that was the case. But what he finds out, and maybe Rachel, even though she's a pilot, would be a great lawyer or a detective. She's trying to catch him in a lie there. He thinks that there was no winning that situation. And a win to him was that they got back together, that they gave it another shot. He also mentions in the After Reality podcast episode with Courtney Robertson, that's how you credit a podcast, go listen to it. It's actually a fascinating interview. He mentions there that she asked him for the ring back. And he says, while we didn't define whether or not we would date other people at the moment, he kind of asked, like, does that mean the relationship was no longer there? It's more than a gray area, but it's definitely an area of question. And I don't have the answer to that. And I don't think Rachel or Tino do. So, throwing out the C word cheating, it's complicated because we weren't there. And clearly neither. I mean, if she had any proof that they had not broken up, I'm sure that information would have been shared already. So here is what Rachel said to Ashley, and you're going to very clearly hear Ashley talk about it in a very diplomatic and normal way, and then Rachel corrects her with a incorrect quote. Have a listen. And yes, I will defend Ashley here. I think Ashley does a damn good job. I don't think Ashley can be expected to have all of the facts off the bat versus Nick's interview with his dozen or so producers and everything that wanted to talk about his conversation on my show, but wanted to avoid the actual quotes, wanted to avoid crediting me, wanted to avoid all of the truth. Here, Ashley's talking, Rachel corrects her with the wrong quotes.
Speaking of your season being a quote waste, which you guys got plenty from it, even if you didn't get fiancés. that stuck.
Yes.
Tino has said recently, and he's actually been quite quiet, so I'm surprised to hear this headline from him. Maybe we're misinterpreting it, but he said that he is planning on watching your season of Bachelor in Paradise. How does that make you feel?
Great question.
Well, that wasn't the full quote.
Okay.
So he said Ashley says Tina's planning on watching Bachelor in Paradise, and then Rachel goes, that wasn't the full quote. Well, tell us, Rachel, what was the quote?
What is it? No.
He said he will be watching, but he will not be watching me.
He said he will be watching, but not be watching me. Have you guys done your yoga yet? Because we are getting ready to do the twist of the words.
Wait. So he's just going to press fast forward through you?
So at this point, Ashley's just responding to the quote-unquote truth that she knows, which is a misrepresenting from Rachel.
I don't know. Maybe he's just going to close his eyes every time I come on screen. I was very shocked to see that. Honestly, it feels like so much time has passed. I mean, I talked to you the last time. We know he's moved on. He's dating.
Yeah.
So happy for him, like wanting him to be happy. So kind of hearing the negative remarks, it was very shocking. So yeah, a little disappointed, honestly.
That is super
Oh,
weird.
she hit her with the I'm disappointed. I'm not mad, Tino. I'm just disappointed.
Like, why would he even be invested enough to watch the show if he's going to be fast forwarding through you? Like, why does he care so much?
So now he's fast forwarding. He actually set up some, he's got a friend who's going to blur out all of Rachel's scenes. They're going to use the same Photoshop guy they used to blur out the butt cracks.
To watch a show, to like have to go through the, difficulty of fast forwarding through you on a show that like you're going to be very intricately a part of.
He said he wanted to watch Tyler and Avon, who, may or may not be on the beach. We'll see.
I think we see them in previews.
I mean, there is one fully about Tyler's abs.
Okay.
But you never know who's going to show up.
We think we know that Braden shows up, and we.
All right, so then they move on to another topic there. So Rachel said he's not going to be watching Rachel. Let's listen to what Tino actually said. Wouldn't that be fascinating to hear from the actual man, the myth, the legend?
She let this guy leave. I'm like, I know. So,
You know what? She'll find somebody, and I guess won't have, and she won't have to go through this. And
well, I don't know. I think I heard she went to Paradise. What do you think of that? Will you be watching?
I'll probably watch because I heard rumors that like Avon and Tyler and a couple of the guys I liked from my season went down.
So when he says he heard rumors that those guys went down, he knows they went down, but he can't say that because, he's still not allowed to give away these trade secrets. So he says, I'm going to watch because my buddies are on the show.
So I'll be rooting them on. And if she thinks she can find love after everything she's been through on Paradise, I mean, good for her. One thing I think, whether you like her or dislike her, you got to give her credit for is there's no quitting her. So,
so that was a compliment. I know it sounds a little jaded, but he's basically more so jading the process. He's saying, look, after all she's been through, if she thinks she can find love on a beach, good for her. That's his way of saying, I don't think I could find love on the beach, but good for her. But in no way is he saying that I'm not going to watch the Rachel scenes. I scoured for this quote.
I'll be watching, but I'll be focusing my rooting on for the boys.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says, I'll be watching, but I'll be focusing my rooting on for the boys. Now, could you take a leap and say, well, by focusing on rooting for the boys, he's not focusing on rooting for her. And if he's not focusing on her, she's out of focus, so that he's actually censoring himself from watching her. It's like, good grief, guys, come on.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to be watching too. I can't wait. And I did want to ask you, were you friends with Gabby's guy?
All right, anyway, so they move on from there. And then again, the titles. Bachelorette's Tino Franco has shady reaction to Rachel Recchia. I don't know. You guys leave a comment. Was that shady? He was basically saying, hey, she's got a lot of fight in her. Good for her. Give it another shot. Tino Franco will watch Bachelor in Paradise, but he's not rooting for Rachel Recchia. You know what I mean? So they turned a positive, him rooting on his. He's like, look, I'm gonna give my friends as much encouragement as possible. Tino's not encouraging Rachel Recchia. It's like, golly, this is garbage. And how come I gotta be, I got a burnt nose. I look like Rudolph out here. I'm floating around the Indian Ocean. And how come I am bench pressing the weight of all of these podcasts and getting down to the truth? Not to pat myself I would pat myself on the back, but I'm sunburned. But my point being here is like, how come some jabroni like me in my car or in my, like little bungalow villa floating over the current here can get down to the truth and some of these people can't here? By the way, if you want to check out my behind the scenes tour of my villa, I've got the full 7.5-minute video here. I did a fantastic tour of the inside area, and it is fully equipped with showers and an outdoor private infinity pool. I mean, boy, this YouTube thing must be working out. It's almost like people enjoy watching my channel because we don't throw bullshit your way. We're actually trying to get down to the truth. And I tell you what, though, getting down to the truth can get me into trouble, legally speaking. So my next video, or a video very soon, will explain why I have had to delete some content of mine to keep me out of the courtroom, even though I think I'd win the case. But either way, don't need to worry. I'm worried about having to spend $20 on aloe at the overpriced gift shop here. I don't need a lawyer kind of telling me what I can and can't say. But either way, I just wanted to show you guys the twisting of the words here. Is it malicious from Rachel? Not consciously. I don't think it's consciously malicious, but I do think if I was able to moderate a conversation, I could get them on the same page very quickly, because almost everything I'm hearing out of Tino's mouth is pretty nice words about Rachel. Hey, she's going to find somebody else. And then Rachel will say, he doesn't think I can find somebody. It's like, what are we doing here? We're doing the twist. Do the twist. All right. That's right. Rachel the Twister. Coming to you soon. Twister 2, starring Rachel Recchia. Either way, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. God bless her. Look, hey, I think this is just something that happens. You read headlines. It's an issue we have in society with reading comprehension being dog shit. And I think that if they just listen to what's being said, and listen to the original sources, we'd have less to talk about over here. But in the meantime, we are here to correct the narrative. Let me know what you think. More content coming your way. Join the Patreon if you want some extra content. And by the way, congrats to Rudy from Bachelor's Listen to Your Heart. She was on The Voice. She crushed it. And I'm going to play her song on today's Bachelor Rush Hour podcast, so you can go listen to that wherever you get podcasts. We'll be back with more content right after this.